Howdy, everybody. Morning. Last time I was here, took a little day trip up to come play number 2. There were some folks that brought us up here, and we were walking through the clubhouse there at the Pinehurst Resort. I don't know how many of you guys have been there. They have the big panoramic pictures of 1999 when Payne Stewart won. And of course, he's in that pose. And then, of course, as you continue through, there's a pose to 2005, or picture the same panoramic view. The guy that was giving us the tour of the clubhouse, we were walking past all the winners of the North-South Amateur and all the other tournaments, and he said, if your picture's on the wall here, you get to play for free. And we were standing by the banner of 1999. Now, I was fortunate enough to have worked 2005, and I was in the final group covering Michael Campbell as he was winning, and I'm standing there, I'm thinking, well, if you've got this same picture, this same scope for 2005, I'm in good luck today. And sure enough, 20 feet down the hallway, about this big, there I am, standing there with a microphone, watching Michael Campbell win the U.S. Open. So I got to play for free that day. And I don't think he tells that story anymore. PGA Tour is very fortunate the way they have their schedule laid out. And in that, you've probably all heard of the movie Follow the Sun. PGA Tour does follow the sun. And when you've got a golf course in a particular part of the country, you battle the conditions at some point during the year. That's just inevitable. Well, the PGA Tour's not coming to your course when you're battling the conditions. They're going to come when the weather's nice. And you just think about, they start in January in Hawaii. Well, the weather's always nice in Hawaii. Then they head out on the West Coast. Then they head to Florida. And then about the time it warms up in the rest of the country, they'll start to travel around the rest of the country. So issues that face golf courses don't necessarily face the PGA Tour. We're always everywhere during their best day, theoretically. Now, the major championships are a little bit different, especially the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. The Masters is okay. The British Open is never okay. But the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship do fight those battles. We saw it, just look at 2 majors from this past year. They went to Congressional, which had brand new greens. They did not go with an ultra-dwarf type of Bermuda grass in Washington, D.C. We're in the transition zone, as many of you know, here, and up in Washington, D.C. They're a little above it, so choosing bent grass up there seemed to make a whole lot of sense. Unfortunately, they went through a really hot period of time right before the U.S. Open. In order to keep their grass alive, they had to keep it moist. They didn't get the conditions they wanted. And Rory McIlroy torches the joint, gets close to 20 under par, and walks away with the tournament. And a lot of folks left there saying, it was great, but it didn't feel like a U.S. Open, and the conditions were one of the reasons why. Fast forward 2 majors later, and the last one we just had at the Atlanta Athletic Club, they went with an ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass, because if you're playing major championship golf in Atlanta in August, you're terrified of your greens. They decided to go with an ultra-dwarf Bermuda, and it was perfect. The reviews were so different from Congressional 2 months earlier to the Atlanta Athletic Club, and they should have been completely reversed. There should have been no problems at Congressional. There should have been a ton of problems in Atlanta, and they were the exact opposite. So again, the PGA Tour doesn't necessarily have to deal with that. The major championships do, because they're trying to pick locations, and the weather's kind of an afterthought. Now, a lot of times, courses that are hosting majors do have a choice how they want to get their golf course prepared and what they want to put down for surfaces. Every once in a while, it does get up and bite the PGA Tour, and that specifically does deal with this grass. 2007 at East Lake, a long hot summer in Atlanta on bent grass greens, and we started the playoffs in New York, and there started to be there were notices in the locker rooms to the contestants. Oh, by the way, when we get to Atlanta, they're battling. The greens may not be what you're expecting. They were bent grass greens. It was a long, hot, wet summer. The greens were boiling at night, and they were frying during the day. And they were soft, and there were not a lot of grass left on them. Then we went to the next tour stop in Boston, and the notices in the locker room were just as foreboding. They're like, hey, in Atlanta, for those of you who are going to advance, just know that the green speeds may not be what we want. They may not run as consistently as we want. And then when we got to Chicago, it was all but Armageddon. I mean, it was to the point where they were almost going to cancel the tournament, it seemed like. The notice on the locker room said, warning, if you're going to Atlanta, the greens are awful. Just know this going in. It was an embarrassment to the tour. The only way they could combat that was to make the greens as soft as they possibly could. They ran them about 2 feet slower than they intended to, and Zach Johnson shot 60. That's the course record. It will never be broken. What they responded with was going with exactly this grass. They went with the Mini Verde Bermuda. They had one of these greens as one of their practice greens for a couple of years. And of course, the PGA Tour had put in Mini Verde on their greens at TPC Sawgrass, and that's their marquee event for the Players' Championship. So the grass had a leg up. They put it in at East Lake, and the green problems are just gone. That's been one of the greatest things. If we just went through the playoffs this year, we had a hurricane in New York, but nobody was talking about the greens. You had the aftermath of the hurricane in Boston. Nobody was talking about the greens. The greens in Chicago had recovered after another long, hot summer. And you got to Atlanta, and they looked like they were airbrushed. I mean, they looked perfect in person and better than perfect on television. PGA Tour players like to complain about greens. That's one of the things that they do. It's in their nature. It's just something that you go to. They don't complain about ultra-dwarf greens. And it's something that we used to see. John Houston was a guy, I think he's got 7 PGA Tour wins, and 6 of them have come on Bermuda greens. You used to have Bermuda grass specialists. Out west, you used to have Poana guys. You see some good Poana up in the Northeast. Bent grass was always considered the most fair type of surface. It didn't necessarily favor one putting style over the other. Bermuda was definitely something you had to specialize in. But as you look across this green here, you're looking at pretty much mostly the same color. You don't see any other than the shadows. You don't see the shift in grain. These are truly ultra dwarf. The leaves are smaller. Leaves or leaves? Mark? Leaves. Thank you. They are smaller. I'm a radio guy. You don't get the grain that you used to. This is not your father's Bermuda grass. It's great almost all year round. The playing season is a lot longer. You're not going to make any ball marks out there today. It's fun, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, because we don't get to travel the world and the country going where the weather's nice. We got to play our courses in our hometowns every day and every week, and we got to play them most of the year, and we hope that they're best most of the year. These ultra dwarf grasses are the best most of the year. I've seen it. If anything, they can get too fast. They're not too fast out there today. So enjoy it and know that this is a beautiful golf course. They've made the right choice with this grass, and you're going to love it out there today. I hope you guys have fun.